What's up, sisters and friends? Happy Monday, everybody. I hope you're having a great start to your week. I think it's about to get a whole lot better because I have two very special guests on the podcast today. Two of your very favorites that we ever have on the podcast. I have my mom back on and we have Mary Kate back on. Mary Kate, you're a highly requested guest.
Oh,
so
sweet.
Thank you for
So
gracing us with your presence.
Lots of wisdom.
Oh,
so it's good.
Thanks.
Lots of that's good advice. And we actually took it to the DMs this episode to ask people what do they want to know about y'all. And a lot of really fun questions, but I want to kick us off with this sweet question. Korie, do you remember the first time you met Mary Kate, which we were all just kind of reminiscing on? Because I actually remember the first time I met Mary Kate, but I feel like it's a little blurry for you, Mom, which I'll let you tell your story in just a second. Yeah. But because like now everyone knows you're John Luke's wife, but at the time you were my friend, which is so funny, which we can talk about that transition too. But I remember the first day you and Kelly, your sister, came to OCS, and it was like two new girls, and y'all were so beautiful. And I was like, they look so cool. And Kelly shadowed me and Anna Catherine, and probably Anna Catherine. She was always the person that people shadowed. She was like OCS's best. And I was like always her wingman. So she shadowed me too. And we just instantly became really, really good friends. And you were at our house like all the time. But Mom, do you remember those days?
Yes. I mean, I don't think I remember like the first time I met you, but I definitely remember you and Kelly spending the night all the time. I feel like it was pretty regular, like every Wednesday night.
A lot.
Y'all spent the night, and then you spent the night with them.
Every Friday after
once
football
a week
games.
too. Yeah. And we lived, y'all went to the same school, obviously, but we lived like an hour apart. So it kind of worked out for where like y'all would spend the night with us some, Sadie would spend the night with y'all. And those were sweet times. I loved having y'all over all the time. And I do remember we took a girls trip to Steamboat one year. I don't know why we did that. I just feel like
You
just wanted to get up a girls trip.
I really wanted to do it.
Yes, and I was like, let's do it. Invite your friends. And it was so much fun. We had the best time. I love that. That was a special memory. Yeah. One thing I remember about you in high school, I remember your style.
Really?
And it's so funny because you had a really like a different kind of unique style that I thought was like a little bit of vintage style even then. And I mean, it still represents in how you dress now too. Yeah. But I remember thinking it was really cute and I loved it.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
That's true. I do remember that because that was part of your cool factor at school. I was like, cool style.
Well, that made me nervous because when you said, like, I remember your style, I was like, what even was my style? Because I just transferred from my other school where I had worn a uniform for my whole life, which probably has a lot, like that was probably a big factor even today. And just, I don't know how I dress myself, really enjoying it because I did wear a uniform until that year.
That is funny.
So I was just learning how to dress myself for the first time at 16 years old.
Well, you had a cute style even then.
Well,
so.
thanks.
I remember like when your mom started buying me my own ice cream carton at your house. I was like, man, I've really made it into this family. Because she would always buy like the little pints. And she would buy us pralines and cream. Wasn't that it?
Bluebell.
Yeah, the Bluebell. And it would have like my name and your name and Kelly's
We
name.
each had one every Friday night. We each had our Friday night ice cream.
Our ice cream, and we'd watch Naked and Afraid or Grey's Anatomy. But Mary Kate, when did the transition happen from you being my friend to noticing John Luke?
It was such an interesting thing because even though we were like close friends first, I didn't know John Luke first. Like I met him at camp. And so we met when I was like 15 at camp. And then I guess you and I became friends. It was probably like a full year and a half like later. Yeah, something like that. But then we didn't date for a while. Even whenever I transferred schools, we didn't date for probably another year and a half after that.
Yeah.
So we were friends for a
while. Once y'all started dating, it was like so fast.
Pretty quick.
John Luke tried to claim you though. At one point he was like, we've been dating for like 5 years. I was like, no, you met her 5 years ago. Maybe like in your mind you thought about it then, but y'all have not been dating that long. But once you actually started dating, it all did go pretty fast because y'all had known each other for a while. But yeah, he was like claiming 5 years when you were like 1 year into dating. I was like, what?
And we would all be like, no, you have not. He's like, no, yes, we have. And like, you met her at camp, and then y'all didn't even like talk. Like,
Yeah.
she was at our house for a whole year before y'all started dating.
That is the Robertson exaggeration, though, right there.
It's true.
That is
It's
prime
true.
example.
That is
The real
so
question,
funny.
though, is at what point did Willie know their names?
My name. Oh, I remember Kelly.
Mary
No,
Kate
I
and
remember
Kelly.
with Kelly. I think maybe he knew
He
mine
knew
at
your
some
name.
point.
No, but it took a while.
Oh, it wasn't until I was like, we were like, our wedding was there. And he
was
goes, yeah,
pitiful.
what's that girl with the bangs? Meaning my sister. And we're like,
Who had spent the night at our house
2 years.
every night for 2 years.
2 years.
Exactly.
Kelly,
He's gotten
that's
a
my
lot better
sister.
at that.
Yeah, he
Which
has gotten
that
so
was
much
like
better.
right in the middle of Duck Dynasty. So
That's true.
like give him, I do give him some grace of like,
Yes, there was a lot of people like
A lot of
in
people
and out of the house at
Yeah,
that point.
it was.
That is true, and he has gotten better. And he does use nicknames, so he kind of doesn't know people's names because he does use
yeah,
nicknames.
that's true.
Well, that was a weird time of our life, and we're kind of at that time of our life again where we have so many people around us that sometimes it is hard to know. Like it was funny at Easter the other day, we had some friends with us. Well, we also had like 80 family members there. When there's like friends and there's different people, and two mama walks up to our friend. She goes, "Do I know y'all?" And then they're like, "No, you don't." And then we're at her house, and she's like, "Okay, well, welcome to mama," but that's kind of normal in our house. And so
true.
I think Dad was like not registering that the girl with the bangs is the same girl that's always at your house with Mary Kate. He had not put the pieces together.
funny.
But Mary Kate, people
Also at Easter, two Papa tried to get us to announce like everybody
Yes.
to introduce all the guests, and he kept saying that, and I was like, "Two Papa," and he's like, "Well, we don't know who's all here. We don't know who everybody is." I was like, "Well, go meet them. Like, they don't have to don't put them on the spot and make them introduce themselves in front of 80 people right now."
Yeah, he's like, if every guest, if everybody who brought a guest who could raise your hand, and I think everyone just ignored him.
Yeah, because there were a lot of guests there, which is kind of typical for us.
Yeah, it's so
We kind
funny.
of were like the more the merrier.
Funny enough, a lot of people actually do have questions for Mary Kate about the difference in treating Duck Dynasty now versus then, which that is so interesting that you were in our life when we were filming it the first time. At first, just my friend, then you literally got married on Duck Dynasty, which we've talked about on this podcast, and now you're back on. And I know we've talked about this a little on the podcast, but for those who didn't listen to the last one, what has just that been like this time around?
Yeah, I feel like, I wasn't filming like a ton, in the original Duck Dynasty. Like I came on at the very end of it, but I did get, a taste for it. But I feel like, hands down, the biggest difference is doing it without kids versus now with small kids.
That's a big deal for y'all.
It
for
really
sure.
is. It is. Yeah. I feel like just so much more planning, prep, thought goes into it, because I feel like, and not even just the managing it now, but also like, okay, this is their like childhood, and I feel like there feels some pressure on, just how we're shaping our lives and what we're doing in our lives right now while they're young children.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it takes a lot more extra work.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. It's still been fun.
A little planning involved for sure.
Yeah.
Mom actually said these words to me last night. I was 40 when I did this. You're 27 with
Right.
kids. Like, there is a new aspect to
Right.
it that no one went through the last time.
Well, and when we were doing
necessarily.
it last time, I remember saying, like, I'm 40 experiencing this. Y'all are teenagers experiencing this, and young marrieds experiencing this. So even though we're all experiencing it together, there are like differences in the way we are. And I'm just so thankful that we are experiencing it together, because like we can talk about it, we can have conversations, we can like understand, because it is different.
Yeah.
It's not, what a lot of people do. It is unique. An experience that we're going through is unique. So the fact that we are doing it together, but yeah, like I experienced it differently. I was 40 and Bella was like 9. My youngest was 9, and she has all this super fun memories because she and Will are like, it was the most fun times of her life. We got to like have a redneck water park. We got to like dig in the mud. We got to do all these special things with our grandparents and our aunts and uncles that we wouldn't have done necessarily otherwise. We were always together a lot anyway, but it just amped it up and made it more special. So I think it's going to be a sweet part of our kids' childhood, but there are definitely complexities to it. I see with y'all doing it with littles. It's not easy. It is not easy. It is, because filming a television show is one of those things that is like all in, and it is a lot of work. And so doing it with littles little kids is something that I haven't with toddlers and babies. I didn't experience. So
I think you learn a lot about empathy whenever you go through something together as a family, but you all have different experiences. Because you just realize in life, like so many people you're in the same circle as them, you're in the same bubble as them, but they might be experiencing something different than you did. You could have the same day, but you had a different experience because your life looks different. Because maybe your kids are sick right now, or they're, they don't have kids right now, or like there's so many aspects to what makes our life different. And you have to have empathy for where everyone's at.
Absolutely.
And I feel like this time around, there's just been a lot of like honest conversations about where everyone's at, and like trying to help each other through some of those hard days, and then like cheering each other on in the fun days. And some days are really, really fun and really, really awesome. We're like, this is the best. And some days are really, really hard. And that's life, and we're getting to go through something in life all together, but all experiencing it in different seasons of our life, which can add its complexities and all the different things.
All right, let's talk about something not so cute. Waking up in the middle of the night, sweaty, tangled in sheets, and just trying to flip the pillow to the cool side for the 10th time. Been there, but I finally found something that actually helps. Miracle Made sheets. They're inspired by NASA technology and made with silver-infused fabric that's temperature regulating, so you can sleep at the perfect temp all night long, no matter what season you're in. Want to hear the crazy part? Traditional sheets can actually hold more bacteria than a toilet seat. That's disgusting. But Miracle Sheets have a self-cleaning feature that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, which means fewer odors, fewer breakouts, and way less laundry. They're seriously so soft and cozy too. Miracle Sheets offer luxury-level comfort without the luxury price tag, and they stay fresh up to 3 times longer than regular sheets, which is huge and a huge win for this tired mama. We love our Miracle Made sheets. We love how cool they feel. As soon as you get in the bed, it just feels cool, and we love that feeling. Also, just the fact that they stay cleaner longer is such a win, especially in the season of our life right now. Knowing that is just a little bit of more comfort at night. But we love them. We have not gone back since we tried them, and we want you to try them too. So upgrade your sleep as the weather heats up. Go to trymiracle.com/whoa to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40% off. And if you use my promo code WHOA at checkout, you'll get a free 3-piece towel set and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you aren't 100% satisfied, you can actually get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/whoa and use the code WHOA to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/whoa to treat yourself today.
Everybody can relate, even though like our experience is different because we're making a reality show, but everybody can relate to that, like having to figure out how to just juggle it all. And I remember feeling that, and our kids were different ages than y'all's, but just that feeling that as a mom, a wife, a friend, like the work that I have to do, and this, like figuring out, okay, like, can I juggle all these balls at one time? And I just always think about this analogy. Like, I was like, okay, I have to figure out what balls I can set down. Otherwise, they're all going to come crashing. And sometimes they do. It feels like all the balls just came crashing down and I just need to go take a nap because I cannot do anything else. But then other times, like thinking like, okay, how can what can I do and do comfortably, or what do I need to just say like, no, I actually can't do that, and I need to set that aside for right now, and maybe I'll pick that up later. But I think everyone can experience that feeling.
For sure. Christian told me in a very loving way, like probably a month ago, he's like, we need to like get better at you being able to like just take one thing off your plate instead of like all the balls crashing at one time, because I'll just go and go and go until it like all crashes, and like all doesn't crash circumstantially around me, it crashes mentally. Like I just crash mentally. I have like a night where just all goes wrong, and it's like, okay, maybe instead of like waiting until I crash, just like stop day by day and like lay things aside that I can that day, or like how can I go through like what do I need right now to actually like get through the day. And sometimes that just changes in different times of your life. And so I'm trying to get better at that. Like, okay, maybe it doesn't have to be such a dramatic, like, one day meltdown. Maybe I could just gradually, take some stresses off in life. But speaking of just balancing it all, and which I love, Jen Johnson said on this podcast years ago, she said, you got to forget balance. She said, balance is not realistic. You got to learn how to juggle. Yeah. And I love that, because that's what you said. Like, if you don't learn how to juggle, then there's no balance, because life is crazy and it doesn't even present itself to always be balanced. Right. But she said, learn how to juggle and know when to put a ball down, because if you don't, you're going to get out of rhythm and they're all going to fall. And I think about that all the time, which you say all the time too. So good double advice. What did someone say to me one time? If God repeats himself, you better listen. And I think that's really good advice. If you start hearing the same thing a couple times, because it's so interesting. It's like you can hear the same thing your whole life from your mom, and then you hear it from someone else, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, my mom said that forever, and it anchors itself in a different way,
So true.
But this was a great question. It said, how do you maintain friendships with women in your life during busy seasons of motherhood? Which I don't think it just has to be motherhood. I think just busy seasons in general. And I know that's something you talk about a lot. Mary Kate and I are in that young toddler phase and being busy. And so I want y'all both to speak a little bit to how do you maintain friendship during this time, and what does that look like as a priority to you,
Well, I know, like, my friends and I are the biggest fans of, like, the voice text, just recording. And that's what we do a lot. Like, if we get busy, like, that's what we do. And, like, and even this morning, like, I was rushing to get here and getting ready, but I had 15 minutes to get ready, and I called one of my friends and we talked for 10 minutes. And I feel like it's, like, that means something, and I feel like that's what, especially two of my closest friends will do. It's like just those little pockets of time. You just have to be intentional, I think, about noticing them and just, putting something there, like a voice text, a phone call. Even if you can't talk on the phone, like, say they call me, they called. You know what I mean? Like, I know, like, I just feel like we're constantly just, investing in those friendships. And then when we do have more time, getting together, doing fun things, but in the busier seasons, just, I feel like a text, a phone call, just that, like, goes a
little
connection. Way. Yes, just the points of connection. Yeah,
that's great.
Just go a long way.
It's so true. Really good. It's so good. Mom, you want to speak to that?
Well, I think that it does. I mean, it does change throughout different seasons, and I think allowing it to change throughout different seasons, knowing that, like, okay, this isn't forever. This just might look a little bit different right now. And so I know one of my very best friend forever that you've probably talked about on the podcast, since before babies are born. Her name's Katie. Like, there's been seasons where we're together all the time, or we're traveling together, we do things together a lot. And there's seasons where we don't, but we do those, connections, those touch points. We just remain friends in it and through it, and know that, like, oh, she's right there, like, if I ever need her. And so just allowing that to happen. But whenever ours were little, I remember play groups. Like, we always planned a play group. I had another friend of mine, and I had a Thursday play group that we would organize, and all the kids would get together, just let the kids play, and the mom could visit. And I think that is so important to have that time with other moms and other, like, women, and that are just in the same kind of, like, season as you are, so you can talk about those things and help each other through. So we would do that. And I think date night with friends, like couples date nights are great and important to do, and just make time for that. So those are some different things that I've done over the years, but I definitely think, just those touch points and just allowing it to change with the season.
Yeah. I think that's so good. And it does change with the season. Like, same friend, but sometimes the way you interact with that friend changes. Like, when all of our friend group first got married, we did our sermon squad and, like, watched sermons together, and all did a potluck dinner, and that was, like, so fun. But now, if we tried to watch a sermon together with the 7 children that, like, we have in the house, with Honey being the oldest of all 7 of our friend group, that would not go so well, And so it's pivoted, it's changed. Now we, watch the kids be crazy, and sometimes turn on a movie for them if they will make it. And we make dinner and talk and hang, and it's so fun. But I will say, like, even in the busy seasons of life, one thing that, just going into what I knew was about to be a really busy year for us with filming the show and doing my job and being pregnant, I was like, I have to maintain my friendships. Like that's very important to me because I know that I need that. Like that's so important for my life and so important for me staying just a good wife and a good mom and a good friend. Like all of those things are so important. And so it's worth prioritizing, you know, it's worth the phone call. It's worth the voice text. It's worth getting together. Right now we get together a lot at lunch because that's like the time that all of us can kind of get away and go to lunch. And it's short and it's sweet and it's great and it's intentional and it goes a long way. And so, do what you can. But I do think it's always worth it to maintain those friendships, even in busy seasons of life and busy seasons of motherhood. You need friends. You need friends who are doing it with you. And a play date's like a great idea, or going to the park, or just doing like little things with moms with their kids is a great way to maintain friendships. This was a funny question. How to be kind and loving as a wife when your husband and your children are on your last nerve. This girl just said, let me tell you how it is.
Real.
This man is on my nerves and my children too. Oh gosh, it can be hard sometimes. I mean, especially when like days are long and busy and everything is like crazy and your kids are being nuts and all the different things. It can certainly be hard. How to be kind. We kind of talked about this on a podcast we did recently, and I don't know timing wise which one will be out first. We talked about with Mama Joe and To Mama, and I talked about how like giving myself more time to respond, you know, because when you read Proverbs, it's so much about like holding your tongue, like just like waiting to say things, not being quick to speak. I mean, that's obviously in James too, and so many different places in the Bible, but I've been reading Proverbs a lot more lately, and there's just so much to be said about the maturity of being able to hold your tongue, you know? And so I do think it is important. The words you say are so important, and the way that you respond are important, but it is hard whenever things are hard. And I would just say personally, this is something I do. I don't know if it's good advice, but sometimes I just tell Christian, I am just like really having a day. Could I go take a bath real fast? And then if I go take a bath, I'm going to come back and I'll help put him to bed. And he's like, yes, go take a bath. And it's so helpful to me. And I'm like so thankful as a husband that he like sees that and is like, yes, go take a bath. Like, because he knows I'm going to come back better. And so I just go take my little bubble bath, take a little moment of silence, and then come back for bedtime strong. And, that has been very helpful for me on like really hard days when I really am just like frustrated, because a lot of times it's like not them that's frustrating me. I don't want to take it out. It's my day I've had.
Right.
And so I don't want to bring it on them. So I'm like, let me just go regroup and then I'll come back. And that has been very helpful for us.
Yeah. One thing I remember noticing when y'all were little is like how my attitude affected the whole house, you know? And it's like, it's tough because you start realizing like, oh, like I'm actually contributing to this craziness right now because I didn't, like I woke up in a funk, or I don't feel prepared for the day, or I'm overly busy, or I'm this, and then everything just kind of starts falling. So if like, it does take that, like adjust yourself, you know, and say like, okay, I need to adjust myself. And so I can come back in here and actually like parent well and be a good wife and be kind to the people that are around me. And so one of the things is I think it is important to just like de-escalate the situation, where it's like, if you just get louder, everything's going to get louder. But if you can just actually like be calm yourself and like come down and like bring the tone of the room down, it helps everybody. And I think we in our family, like tone, we always talk about tone, because like tone matters so much, and like how you say something. And like I don't want somebody to say something to me with like a bad tone or a harsh tone. Like
I can like hear you say, watch your tone.
Watch your tone. Yes. It really matters. Like if Willie talks to me with a bad tone, I'm like, you know? And so like, I don't want to be the one to be talking to our kids or to Willie with a harsh tone or a mean or sarcastic tone. So like, yeah, just kind of like checking yourself with your tone, I think is important. And I think like you mentioned, taking a bath or taking that time you are responsible for yourself and for your own inner happiness. Like your husband's not responsible for it. Your kids they don't make you do it. Your husband doesn't make you do it. You're responsible for your own actions and your own reactions. And so take responsibility for those and work it out, figure it out, or solve the problem so that you can come with your best
That's
with
really
it
good.
in your house.
That's really good.
In the Huff fam, we love our summer adventures, beach days, bike rides, all the things. But with littles running around, there's always at least one scraped knee or bug bite to deal with, which is why I'm so thankful for our partner, Active Skin Repair, a skin health company that helps people heal with natural, non-toxic, medical-grade ingredients. That's why I keep a bottle of Active Skin Repair ready to roll all times. This stuff is truly amazing. It's made with natural, non-toxic ingredients that are safe for literally every member of the family. It works on cuts, scrapes, sunburns, rashes, all summer skin drama. And the magic ingredient, it's actually a molecule that mimics your body's natural healing response. So it soothes, cleanses, and supports healing all in one. It's our go-to for everything from jellyfish stings to knee scrapes. With over 500,000 happy customers and thousands of 5-star reviews, Active Skin Repair isn't just the hero of the Huff fam summer, it can be yours too. We love Active Skin Repair, y'all. It really is so good. I'm not even kidding. With a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, we always have a skin knee or something happening, bug bites. And my girls, I'm not going to lie, they're a little skittish. They do not like anything that burns. And the first time I used it, I was like, okay, this stuff is the real deal, because Honey did not cry at all. She actually asked me for more on her skin because she liked the way it felt. And so this is a huge win. So visit ActiveSkinRepair.com to learn more about Active Skin Repair and get 20% off your order when you use the code WOA. That's ActiveSkinRepair.com. Use the code WOA to get 20% off your order.
Mary Kate, you want to speak into that at all?
No, well, when you said solve the problem, that there's two things I was thinking of just kind of the whole time was one, just the problem solving of okay, how are we in, what can I do? Why are we in this place? If everyone is this, if I'm feeling like this, or if someone's crying or whining, are we doing too much? Are we trying to do too much? Are we too tired from that? Did we miss this? Did we eat? Just making sure, just
a lot
simple,
of times
it's just a simple problem solving of,
Food.
Literally
Do you
just
need to all need to eat.
do you need to go lay down?
Even Dr. Amen says that, food and sleep
Yeah.
makes such a difference.
Oh, yeah, it totally does. So I feel like there's the initial problem solving that can get skipped over, you know, so often.
So true.
That, and then I feel like another thing that's just so helpful in our family, in our marriage, is me taking the time to say, instead of reacting I'm overstimulated, which happens a lot, honestly, with 3 kids. Even if we've got all the problems checked off, I still get overstimulated when I'm cooking dinner and someone's crying and this. And I feel like, that would be when John Luke walks in. And I just, if I will take the time to say, I'm not mad at you.
Yeah.
I'm not let me just explain to you right now. I'm not mad at you. I'm a little overwhelmed.
Yes.
I just need a minute. Just kind of you said with the bath, but I feel like it helps me to verbalize out loud.
Yes.
I'm not mad.
Communicating.
I'm a little stressed and overwhelmed right now.
Yes.
Don't think I'm mad.
Yeah.
Let me just communicating it.
That's really
I help so much. The other day I was cooking. So we had friends over at the house and I was cooking and Christian was outside grilling the sausage, but it was he had just gotten done with it and Haven was literally attached to my leg. Mama, hold me. And I'm like, Haven, I can't hold you right now. I was trying to do too many things at one time. I was cooking 3 things and we were hosting new friends and other friends. And so then I looked at Christian and I was like, I need you to come take Haven and just be on Haven for the next because I'm just getting overwhelmed, you know. And he did, and it was fine, and but it was I could just feel the stress rising because I was I messed up the pasta because I already I didn't it was too thick, and then I was the rolls were about to burn, and Haven was needing me to hold her, and then as soon as I saw Christian, I'm take her,
Take the child.
So communication really does matter, not letting yourself get to the point where it's okay, everything just flopped, and the pasta was saved and it was good and the rolls were great and Haven was fine, and so
Success story.
This is a success story today.
That reminds me of this time. I remember John Luke was little and he was, probably 2, barely talking, and we were in the car and he was like, Mama, 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 and it was hitting my limit, and I went, John Luke, do not say Mama one more time. And he goes, Korie, And I was like, and I started dying laughing. It was like perfect for the moment. It made me laugh because he had never called me Korie before. I didn't even know he knew my name.
So
and it was
funny.
like, oh, Korie. You know, I was like, well, you did not say mama. That was
funny.
that you actually did
Sometimes,
not.
like, kids just, I mean, they just make it so much better.
They
Those
can
moments
make
too.
you laugh.
Like, I had a really overwhelming moment recently, and I started crying. And Haven said, Mama, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh.
And I was like, I am fine, Haven. You're right. I'm fine.
So sweet.
And it's like, sometimes you do get overwhelmed and you do cry in front of your kids. And a lot of times those are like such great teaching moments
okay
for
because
them
you're
to see
like,
that.
hey, I
Yeah.
cried too, and it's okay because I got overwhelmed because that was really hard, but I am fine, you know, like it's like a sweet moment. And I was thinking about this too because this is so real for our day, and this is something that I've seen in me is like if I'm on my phone, I'm a lot more quick-tempered with my kids because that goes into like, man, being a parent, being a mom and a wife, you have to be so selfless, you know? And I feel like sometimes like when I'm like on my phone, it's just a selfish thing. And then honey wants my attention and I'm like, hold on, like I'm trying to do something. But then like to her, she's seeing just me on my phone. And she doesn't know if I'm on Instagram or emailing or my Bible app. Like it doesn't really matter what I'm doing. The point is I'm like on my phone.
Yeah.
And I have realized I'm just a lot more quick tempered and get a little bit more frustrated or irritable with my kids whenever I'm distracted.
Yeah.
And so to your point of like taking self-responsibility, there are a lot of things I do think we can do for ourselves to not get so irritable and frustrated and quickly annoyed. And that's one of the things that I have to like watch myself on.
I think that's such a good point because I do think it's like sometimes things escalate and they didn't have to escalate, but it is. A lot of times it's because you're distracted and sometimes it's good things. You needing to be distracted because you got to cook or you got to do this or sometimes, but like that consistency in parenting, if you can stay more consistent to where you don't let it get to this point where it's just like a snap, and it's a hard thing to do. So it's not like I'm saying like it, but you know, being aware of that and trying to do something before it gets to that point. And when you're distracted, it's a lot harder to do that.
This morning, honey had gotten in our bed and I was like trying to read on my Bible app because I was so tired and I didn't get up and go and just grab my Bible. I was just like, I'm just going to read on the Bible app. And honey woke up and she goes, why are you reading so slow? And she starts swiping for me. And I was like, honey, just let me read. I was like, I said, Mommy, just read slow in the morning. And then I would like start reading again. She's like, you're going too slow. And I was like, so funny. She was so concerned at my slow reading. Okay, Mom, someone asked, do you have any grandma fails or funny stories as a grandma?
Grandma fails. I'm sure I have them, but I think that when you mentioned that, one of the things I think being a grandma that I didn't realize was going to be so hard is like leaving your grandbabies because they get really attached to you and it's so sweet. Like they love you so much and you love them so much. And like, I feel like there was a period where I left them crying every time and it was horrible. It was
so like hard sometimes to like go to your house because I knew like to leave was going to be so hard because they wanted to spend the night, you know, and that I know your kids did that
like
too.
our oldest three, like honey and then my
Ella,
two.
and John Shepherd.
Oh my goodness. There was like a time period where it was hard to literally
it felt
bring
like I
them
was
around.
failing as a grandma all the time because I was having to like, you know, say no to them and like prod myself off or like, and still they asked to spend the night like every single night, which I love for them to, but like every single night is not practical.
Better with their no.
I can't do that.
They can take
now. They can handle the
They've got a
no,
little
but for
older.
a while there, the no's were not good, and it just felt like I was failing. I was like, how can I solve this problem? Because you know, I like to be a problem solver. I don't want to like this to happen every time, but I couldn't really figure out the answer to it. But
Well, they
I
would
guess
live with you if they had the choice.
They had the choice. I know.
Well, not too long ago,
Willie.
Willie was researching like bigger beds. And I was like, hey, we don't need to, we have a king size bed. He was like, we have a grandbaby sleeping in this bed like 3 nights a week. We need a bigger bed. And I was like, no. Like we're not, it's like realistic. Like once a week is more realistic. I get it. Like we don't need a bigger bed, but
No, they get it now. But I would tell her, we're not going to go over there if you are not going to be able to leave, you know, like, and so she's gotten like good at it now. But Haven just discovered that from her window, she can see your house. And she's like,
Where KK?
That's
Where
so
KK at?
sweet.
He's like looking. It's so cute.
This is a really good problem to have. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is hard.
Yeah.
Hey fam, can we talk about marriage for a second? Because it is one of the most beautiful gifts that God has given us, but it's also one of the easiest things to take for granted, especially when it comes to stuff that we don't always like to talk about, like how the internet can sneak its way into your relationship and start to cause damage before you even really know it. And that's why I'm so glad we found out about Covenant Eyes. Victory by Covenant Eyes is this amazing tool that helps couples stay accountable in how they use their screens, phones, tablets, computers, all of it. The Victory software monitors your screen activity and shares a report with someone you choose, like your spouse could be that person or a trusted friend, so you get to create a place of honesty, accountability, and deeper connection in your relationships. This is not about guilt or shame. It's about staying open, building trust, and protecting the sacred space of your marriage. God designed marriage to reflect His love, pure, holy, and full of grace, and that's exactly what Covenant Eyes helps you walk in. I know it can be scary to bring someone else into something that feels so private, but man, when you expose those things and bring it into the light, that's where healing starts. That's where freedom comes. And so don't be afraid of accountability, lean into it. And Covenant Eyes has really created that space for you. So if you're married, engaged, or even just dreaming about the future, I cannot recommend Covenant Eyes enough. Go to covenanteyes.com/Sadie to learn more and start your journey towards a healthier, stronger marriage today. That's covenanteyes.com/Sadie.
Okay, this is a little bit off topic, but a great question. Someone said, I want to start going to church, but I didn't grow up going, and I feel like an outsider. Any advice? And we were kind of talking about this before the podcast and can speak into it a little bit because we grew up going to church our whole life. And so from the perspective of never going to church, I can understand how intimidating that would be, but mainly because all of us have switched churches at some point, and it is so wild, like as an adult woman who's gone to church my whole life, the amount of nerves I felt to go to that church for the first time because it was just new and feeling like, yeah, an outsider. Like, what are people thinking about the fact that I'm here? Or just like all the different things. And like, oh, I'm not going to know where the kids' room is. And then I'm going to have to get everybody signed in. And like, it just feels really overwhelming. Where am I going to sit? Yeah, like just all the different things. And so I can empathize with the nerves of going into something for the first time that just feels unknown. It felt like the first day of school in like a new school. And that's like a scary feeling. But I will say from my experience, going to a new church at different times in life, although you do feel those nerves and initial feelings, every church I've been at has welcomed with so much love and like has been so over the top kind. Someone has found me within the first 5 minutes and said, do you need help? Do you know where you're going? Do you need to? And I think I can confidently say I feel like a good church should be that way. Most churches who are healthy are you're going to be met with a welcomer. You're going to be met with someone who's going to walk you to your seat, help you find the thing. And maybe you have to tell somebody, I'm new here, put yourself out there a little bit to let them know. But most of the time you're going to be met with so much love. And if you're not, you're probably not at the right church. And I felt like I was actually very surprised and felt so about how loved I felt after. And I was like, that was so sweet. And this person said this and this person welcomed me here. And so I do feel like it's totally worth the risk, obviously. Plugging into a church is so important. Having fellowship and community and people who know you and know the things you're walking through and see your family on a consistent basis and hearing the word and worshiping corporately, I am just such a big believer in. And so it's worth the awkward start. It's worth the nerves and everything. But the nerves are real. Yeah. And very valid.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I remember going to a new church and feeling that like, oh, this feels so weird walking into a whole new church environment and like, where do we go? What do we do? Who do you talk to? How, And so it's real, but I do think, like you said, people, there are people there that are there to welcome you and to help you. And I think it is like, remember that like everyone was new there at one point. It's like school every year. Everyone's new there at some point. Everyone has experienced that. And I think people are eager to help. And I think you do have to, sometimes you might walk in and a greeter not see you. Like that could happen. People don't, like sometimes they do have greeters, but they just don't see you come in. They didn't know you were new. So go up to somebody and say, hey, I'm new. And I think maybe, if this person who wrote this has never experienced church, maybe there's some nerves about like what you know to do or don't know to do, but nobody's worried about that. Nobody's judging like what you know or don't know or what you understand or don't understand. I think just like really just let yourself be open to like asking questions, and something that you don't know, just ask, And
actually, like, I remember whenever Lindsay started like diving into the Bible, which is one of Mom's really good friends, and she like didn't grow up in church, so she didn't know like any of the Bible stories. And I loved when she asked us about them. Like it was fun to get to share, And so someone going to church
to kind of experience
should not
it
ever
new.
judge you for that. It should be exciting to get to share the story and experiencing it new. Like hearing her perspective on the sermon was always really cool, because maybe it's something I had heard a lot of times, but to her it was like, whoa, that's so cool, And I'm like, that is so cool. Like you kind of forget sometimes just the gravity of what you're hearing when you hear it so often, but from new ears and a new perspective, it's very refreshing. So I mean, I think that's such a gift to a church for a new person to come. And I will say, because sometimes you have to stick with things. Like the first time I changed to a new church, like the first Sunday was overwhelming, like totally from start to finish. Like there were super nice people. Everyone was so kind. But I was like, whoa, just the practical things of like trying to get the kids there, trying to find the seat, trying to blah, 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 parking spot, all the different things that's just new and unknown, and figuring it all out and meeting new people. And then the next week was better. And now I love it, So it just, sometimes you do have to stick with it. Like if you go the first time and it felt hard or it felt intimidating, like try again. Like you never know. Try a small group. That might be a good way to get plugged in, because it's just worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a great question. How do you instill confidence in your kids on a daily basis? Mary Kate, you got any tips on raising some confident kids?
That's one I have not, didn't put a ton of thought into yet on the question. Not confident kids, like life. But I don't know. I think literally just off the top of my head right now, just giving them like the space and the freedom and the time to be like, just live, just do and be, and like not try to just force them into, I don't know, any specific thing, but just giving them the time, if that makes sense at all. To just kind of come into themselves.
I want to brag on you as a mom for a minute, because one of the things I've seen I think you have really confident kids, and I think a big part of it is because you allow your kids to do things that might be a little harder. Like other people might like try to solve that problem for them. I remember Shep, when he was little, he could put his own boots on at like 1. I mean, and she had boots that he was able to do by himself, and let him, even though sometimes it took a really long time, he would like knock it over and then he would pick it back up and try again and knock it over and try again. And I think some moms might step in and be like, oh, let me just do it for you because it's faster, easier. But Mary Kate would just be really patient with him doing that. And I think it instills confidence in your kids when you let them fail, let them just try again. And sometimes that comes with like more skint knees or more. Your kids definitely have the bobos.
Your kids have had all the
bobos,
missing teeth.
And sometimes it
comes with a cost.
It makes things harder because like things are messier sometimes or whatever, but you allow them to do that. And I think that's really a really great gift you're giving your kids. And I think that it has made confident kids. And Ella the other day practicing that balance bike, I mean, that girl fell off of that thing so many times, and Mary Kate didn't step in, just encouraged her and let her just get up and try again. And I think, a lot of moms want to fix it for their kids or want to like help them a lot. And there's, obviously you want to help your kids and things, but if you can give them that freedom to like fall and get back up and keep trying, and have the patience to do that, I think that's a step in confidence. Yeah, like they're proud of themselves. They accomplished something.
Yeah.
They did something that was hard for them.
That's so sweet. I think for me, words are like a big deal in our house. Like we speak a lot of affirmation over our kids and who they are. And it's really sweet now to see Honey speak that over herself and even speak it over Haven. Because she is so loving, you know, and I think because she knows how loved she is. And that's something we pray over our kids like every day, every night. And I tell them every night, I'm like, Jesus loves you, your mommy loves you, your daddy loves you, your sister loves you. Like I want them to know like you're so loved. And I do think that has like produced a lot of confidence in their personality and who they are. And Honey obviously is a very confident little girl with her outfit choices and her walks and all the things and Haven too. And
they are.
Yeah, I remember when Honey, I used to tell her things I love about her. Like, can I tell you some things I love about you?
And then the cutest thing ever.
That was like my favorite thing ever.
Yes.
And then she stopped wanting me to do it.
And she was like, yes.
Yeah, I'd be like, you're so kind. Yes.
Yes.
And you're so smart. Yes. And you're so brave. Yes.
It's the sweetest thing. You're so good at that.
She remembers those things.
Oh, and you see it as an outpouring from her. Just the other day, actually, Ella was doing something and Honey went, or I think Shep, one of them, and Honey went, Shep, that is very impressive.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, she doesn't know that word just on her own. She's heard that from you speaking that over her, like when she does something. That's very impressive. And she says that all the time, and it's the cutest thing ever. And I know she got it from you.
And she's like, great job, Zane.
Yeah.
That was very funny. Like, stuff like that. She's very affirming.
And then the way she talks herself through hard things that she's scared of, like going down the slide, just, I am brave. I am Honey James, you know, her speaking those things over her, and even scriptures at a very young age, because I know you put that into her. So
it's so sweet.
Great job. And well done, moms.
One of my favorite things recently, we were laughing about this about Honey, because when she makes a mistake, she is like her biggest advocate for it being okay. And she'll like, the other day she TT'd in the bed and she like woke me up. She's like, I TT in the bed, but it's okay because sometimes people TT in the bed at night, and that's fine, and it happens, and it's just so
sweet because she's repeating those things that you've spoken over her, and it's so sweet to see.
It's so cute.
You're so good at that.
Words matter, and words stick for sure, and I think that has a big part in our confidence.
Yes.
I mean, for me, when I think about my insecurities, it was a lot of just changing the words I was saying over myself and the words I was believing over myself, and changes the way you walk in a room, changes the way that you act.
Well, and I've heard Honey do that, like I said, the slide or jumping in the pool. Like she will speak those things over herself that you have said to her, and you're giving her these words that she can say and that she can work through in the hard times.
So sweet. Lastly, I want to ask y'all about your mother-in-law relationship, daughter-in-law relationship, because so many people ask about this. They ask me to always have my mother-in-law on to have conversations, and I've asked Cherie, and she wants to do it. She just lives in Florida, so we haven't made it happen. She was on actually a few years ago with Maya, which was really fun. We haven't just done me and Cherie, and I really want to do that. But people see you with your daughter-in-laws and sons-in-laws, and they're like so intrigued by that relationship and how close y'all are. And so give a little advice to people out there on how to have a close relationship with your in-laws.
Well, I just think we're really fortunate because like I love all my in-laws. I feel like we just really got blessed with great, our kids married awesome people. And I'm just really thankful for that. So I think, of course, that's part of it. But any relationship has to be nurtured and has to be. And so I think, we've just gotten to do had a lot of great experiences together, and just coming up to Liberty and staying with y'all and sleeping in bed with y'all.
That is hilarious.
We had one bed, and I was like, I'll sleep on the couch. They're like, no, you could just sleep with us. And so
that is so funny.
I know, just sweet times together and riding back from Liberty together. And we just had so many fun memories, and y'all staying with us and just being together. I think part of it is just spending time with one another and going through like different life stages together and experiences from college to having babies and you allowing me like in the room when your babies are born. That's amazing. And what a gift that is. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
That's good.
I feel like we've just had a lot of fun. Like it's been, me and Juggling have been married almost 10 years. So it's like almost 10 years, you know, of like a relationship, like our relationship too. And I feel like we've just had like a lot of fun. Like we've had fun times together. We've cried together, you know, and I don't even think, like, I feel like it's not completely devoid of any conflict, like whatsoever. But I feel like we've always, like, we've had harder conversations, but I think we love each other, you know, just enough to like have honest conversations sometimes, just like over the years and like any relationship. Like I feel like we've had harder, honest conversations. Like anyone you're close to, that's just going to happen. But you just have to both be willing to, you know, like love each other and love your family enough to.
And know that the relationship is worth it.
It is.
Yeah.
And just putting in the time. I just feel like time too, just like with any relationship. Like, and we just rode down to the beach together and we got to talk for hours and just like fun, you know?
That's so true. I love that. I think that's so important to have those conversations when hard things approach because they're going to. And whenever you're in such a close family, like rubs are going to happen. So you got to talk through them or else like, I think you do start building up annoyances or if you don't just be honest or just say like, hey, this is something that's like been hard or this is something that's, I don't like how that's done or whatever. Like just those little things and it's not that big of a deal. And I think too, like, and you do this so beautifully. I mean, even like mom said, like inviting mom into the room and like those different things, like honoring your in-laws and respecting your in-laws is like so important because I think about like we FaceTime Christian's parents every single day and it's always so sweet. And I feel like not everybody like calls their parents every single day or goes and sees their parents every day. That's something I'm really thankful for. And I see how much it helps Christian to talk to his parents every day. Like his confidence and who he is. And like, because he loves his mom and his mom is like one of his closest friends. And so for me, like I love that and have to respect that and honor that because it makes my husband a better person and like he loves that. And so I think sometimes like as a wife or a husband, you see the relationship with the mom or the dad and people get like jealous of it or they get like it's too much or whatever. And I think sometimes there are circumstances where it's too much or sometimes there are circumstances where you have to intervene. I've heard other people's stories and I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about. So there are those boundaries. You got to have boundaries 100%. But also, I think if you have a respect and an honor and you value the relationship, because it is a relationship that's worth being valued. It's their mother, it's their father, it's your mother, it's your father. You need those people in your life and to be able to talk to them daily is such a blessing, you know?
That's good.
It's such a gift. And you're obviously not promised that time forever. And so I feel like that's just a good way to look at it. And y'all do a great job with that.
That's really good. I was thinking about Mary Kate saying that about like, this may be whether it's good advice or whether it's bad advice, but for me, it's like the relationships that I truly care about, like that's the ones that I'm gonna like go and have the hard conversation or fight for in some way, you know, where it's like relationships that you're like, okay, they could come or go. You're like, okay, there's a rub, whatever, you know, it's fine. But when relationships that you really care about, those are the ones that, sometimes you do have to like spend the time to fight for. And so I think that's with any in-law relationship is important too.
It's so true.
Those are relationships that are important.
It's so true. I love that so much. Well, this was so good. So much good advice. So many great questions, guys. Always love whenever y'all send in your questions and it guides our conversations because we get to hear new things even about each other that we hadn't even talked about. And so thank y'all so much for sending the questions. Thank y'all for coming on the Well Let's Good podcast once again. And I'm sure you will be back. I hope you will. And thanks for gracing us with your presence and your wisdom.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.